Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all joining in for today's discussion on the South Sudanese Women Intellectuals Forum. My name is Dora Poniloro, and we are continuing from a discussion we started last week, Parenting in the Diaspora, Challenges and Opportunities. Join with me are parents and professionals who are going to give us their insights and perspectives into how parenting is in the diaspora. And we are so lucky also to have a young man with us today who is also going to give us the perspectives from the young people. Our focus is on the youth. So thank you so much for joining us all. I'll go on and present to you the panelists today. We have with us John Lado. John Lado is a social worker and a parent of 3 boys. And he's going to give us his perspective as a parent and a social worker. I'm not going to go deep into the biographies because we already did that last week, but we're going to have a brief biography on the 2 new ones. So welcome, John Lado. The next one out is Michelina. Michelina is also a mother of 2, and she is a caseworker for the Child Welfare Services. So she's also going to give us a perspective on that. Welcome, Michelina. The next one out is Dominic Akwai. Dominic is a geologist and a father of 2. So he's going to give us his perspective, not as a geologist, but as a father. So you're welcome, Dominic. The next one out is Lily Basoronga. She is a mother and a gender and mental health specialist. So she's going to give us her perspective as well in regards to how the mental health aspect of parenting is. Welcome, Mrs. Lily.
Thank you.
We have with us also Margaret Gune. Margaret Gune is a financial advisor, family financial advisor, and a mother also. So she's going to give us her perspective there. And the last person in, the very important voice today with us is Emmanuel Andrea. Emmanuel is a student and a basketball player. So he's going to give us his perspective as a young person who has grown up in Australia, in the South Sudanese community, and his perspective as a young person. You are welcome, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Dora.
Parenting is a higher calling than the pursuit of our own happiness. It carries a big cost, worry, and for some, the terrible pain of losing a child. But it can also bring the highest of rewards, like the depth of love a parent feels and the privilege of knowing that we have helped shape a life. We know that today's family is neither more nor less perfect than that of yesterday. It is different because circumstances we are living in are different. It is more complex because the environment in which families exist today is more complex. With the increased mobility and migration we experience, we see that less stable family environments exist, geographically and culturally complex societies where we are living. And increasingly, children are growing up where their parents did not grow. And as society changes, individual childhood changes, and also the experience of childhood and youthhood as a social, political, and cultural category changes. Now, Holding Carter and Henry Ward claims that there are 2 things we as parents should give our children. One is roots, and the other is wings. Roots to give them bearing and a sense of belonging, but also wings to help them fly and free them from constraints and prejudices and give them other ways to navigate and to travel. What roots are we giving our children today? How do we help them develop their wings? There's an African proverb that says, "The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth." Are we giving our children the warmth they need, or are we pushing them to burn down villages to feel the warmth they need? Now I'll go on and start our discussion. I'll start with you, Lily. There's a claim by Hayes that says parenting in a Euro-American context is intensive in the sense that it is child-centered, expert-guided, emotionally absorbing, labor-intensive, and financially expensive. Would you say this is a claim or is it a fact, and why?
Thank you so much, Dora. It's an honor to answer these questions. Yeah, it's really a fact because when we look at the life, for example, in America, we are parents, yes, our biological children, but they are not per se, they say children belong to the government. And when you try to raise them according to how you were raised, then you are cautioned. So you don't have, like, everything belongs, all the rights belongs to the children. And you are monitored even when you are raising your child. So you don't really raise your child the way we were raised back home, with all, like, you have a full power over your child to train the child the way you want the child to be trained according to your culture. Here is like you have to adapt to a different culture, and at times you find that the culture doesn't really side with your culture. It's like the dues for us might not be the dues in America, which at times, which is a bit challenging for us to raise our kids the way we want to raise them. For example, when you take the kids to the hospital, kids are asked, like when they turn, for example, I have my 15-year-old now, when we go for appointment in the hospital, once I check her in, we go into the doctor. I'm asked to come out and leave the child with the doctor. So I cannot speak for my daughter, but she has to speak for herself because they want to check her, how her living condition is, how she's treated back home. As well with the young ones, when, because kids are kids, when they fall, at times when they're playing, even the compound, a child can fall. But when there's a bruises on the child, you have to report to the school before they call you. So you find it's really very challenging. You are scared at the same time. You want to raise your child to the role model you want, but at the same time, you're scared of what next, because especially when you're new to the society, you have to be very, very careful. Maybe whatever you're going to do, tomorrow the caseworker is going to call you. They're going to investigate you. What happened to this child with the bruises on? And though it's, it was a nature of a child, you leave children to play around. But when there's bruises, we are cautioned for that. But for example, like, I want to raise my child, like, for example, when the child is 5 years, I have to make sure the child makes her bed. When she wakes up, she has to learn how to make a bed. When she uses any dishes, you have to make sure she washes them, she keeps the place clean. That's how I wanted my child to be. But when, according to the Western world, they take it as a child labor. So I'm kind of like, should I train my child to learn how to wash dishes or not? And when the child goes out of the house with the friends, the friend will say, no, we don't wash dishes, we don't do this, we don't do that. And the child comes home and like, oh, mommy, my friends say for them, they don't do this, they don't do that. That's already a conflict. And at times he's like, where do I start from? And if you're not a strong mom, then it won't really work for you very, very well. So that's why I like, for my own perception from this, still that's why I normally advise my friends, we should not, because the children belongs to the government, I have to leave my children to live the way they want. I have to train my child a basic. We have informal education, which is not, as long as it's not wrong or you are not harming the child. So it's a right for you to teach kids the basic, because at the end of the day, if the child goes wrong and become criminal, They're not gonna look at like this child is a government child, that's why the child became like that. They're gonna look at me as the parent, who's the mother, who did not train my child, who did not discipline my child. So we have to see what is good in our culture, and we don't need to like let it go because we have to adjust to a different culture. We have to tell the kids why we do this and why we don't do that. That's my belief, and I cannot take it away from me, as long as at the end of the day the child is going to be a good citizen, a law-abiding child. It's better than we say, oh, those are government kids. We are not gonna handle them the way, we are not gonna train them the way we were trained. I don't think it's right for us, though it's good emotionally. Just prepare the kids, tell them this is how we do it, or that's how in my culture is supposed to be done. And it's good that you can change to that culture, but no, this is your culture. What is good in my culture, don't let it go, because it's going to be your identity. Financially, yes, it's very like it puts pressure on us parents, like especially when you're single parents, because everything belongs to a child. When the child wants this, you cannot say no to a child. You have to give the child because it's a right of the child. Assume that you're only one-handed and you have to pay all these bills, and the child comes every day, I need that, I need this, I need that, mommy, because she has seen or he has seen friends from school having such things. Then it comes back to us that we have to work 3 jobs, 4 jobs, and it drains us quickly. We don't have time to stay with those kids home. We don't have time to cook for them. So for me, it's good to say no at times to a child, not because the child has the right, but we have to say why I'm saying no for this. It's not everything, as long as you have the basic needs. It's not because your friend has this, you should have it. So I consider it to be a fact that this is what is happening in the world. We don't raise our kids the way we want it. We are scared because we are monitored. And emotionally, you find parents are really dying in silence, which is not for our health too. So in brief, I would argue that it's something good that we raise our kids the way the government wants, but we'd also not forget our culture, which is good. The good culture, we should not throw them away. Let teach the kids the way we want. The kids still belong to us. Like back home, kids belong to the community, right? Dora, you can see my child misbehaving on the street. You can punish that child, and you come and tell me, Dora, oh, Lily, oh, I found your child was doing ABCD, but I punished her already, and I'll be glad. But here, it's not the same. It's something different, and you find you get scared even if you see your friend's child or child from the community misbehaving. You don't have right to advise or to talk to the child. But for me, still, that's why we find today there's a lot of our kids are getting out of hands because we are not training them the way we were trained. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your insights, Lily. John Ladu, as a social worker, what's your take on this? Please give us your perspectives. You're on mute, please. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah. From a social work perspective, a child is seen as a member of a society, an individual with the full rights like any other citizen. That's the bottom line, in which most laws that are formed in the Western societies are based on that individual uniqueness and the right of a child. And as when a child is elevated to the level full rights like any other citizen, plus addition to most countries, maybe exception of USA and Somalia, that did not sign the International Convention for the Child or the Rights of the Child, most Western societies have embraced this, and sometimes I would say it's taken literally and well guarded that the right of the child is to be protected. And many of these societies that have what is called child protection services, because a child is seen to be a fragile member of the society, young, vulnerable, can easily be manipulated and be misused or abused. And therefore, the society comes in to protect this child as the child will grow in the framework of the parents, but somehow the society have institutions that will secure that this child's right is being protected. The child is grown in an environment which is defined by the laws, by the society. And so that's what brings in what is called the experts, the child protection services, the child psychological services, and all these who are called specialists in child development, to make sure that to see, even including our teachers in schools and in kindergartens, they all have an extra eye to see how is this child developing, how is this child being taken care of. And that many times come to the point where Lily is actually alluded to, the point which Lily says that you feel being watched, because you have these extra experts who are around monitoring the child development, the behavior of the child. But the most unfortunate thing is that the relations between the experts and the family members have become of not antagonistic, but of suspicion level, in which, for example, when you are saying, Lily said, when a child gets bruises, instead of investigating and find out what actually has transpired, a suspicion automatically, parents had been looked with their suspicion for have maybe abused the child. Probably a child's right is being violated here. And that created an atmosphere which does not exactly foster the development of the child, but instead it hinders the cooperation of both an expert and the parent. An expert probably knows something, could have advised the parents well, but then because the parents is not feeling suspected, go in a defense of himself or his child, and then it all ends up that in that kind of antagonism whereby the intention actually of the society is well meant, the intention of the parents is well meant, all wanted the best for the child. That's why the society centers, it becomes child centers, looking at the best for the child, but how it is defined probably it differs from how the parents define what is best for their child. Example, when it comes to issue of discipline, parents look at it that a well-disciplined child will be a child which will succeed in the society. And how far is this discipline? How can we make this discipline without violating the child's rights? How can we make a child understand that this is not a punishment, but this is a training for your better future? For example, washing plates. How is this best for you when you become an adult and be able to live on your own, that you at least you keep your hygiene, your family hygiene in a good manner that will keep you going. So when it is understood from this point whereby I said, I go to see my peers, a child come and say, but the other kids don't do that. And why should I be doing it? And then the element of child labor comes in. How do we define child labor, and who defines the child labor? And actually, if we sit down, parents and the so-called experts, social workers, child protection services, and all that, you'll find that they are also parents, and they also have a right definition. If we never suspect each other, we'll come to the right definition of what a child labor is. A training of a child to wash a plate is not a labor that hinders a child from doing other things that is important for the child. A child labor is defined clearly when a child goes out of what is for the interest of the child, school and other things, just in order to work and earn a living, which doesn't happen with us all in the Western societies. And I think all the social services know that no one is actually doing that. So what is important here is that we should understand that both the society, actually government don't own children. The laws are put to protect the child. That's how we should understand it. Then if they put the laws to protect these children, then I too want the best for my child. Okay, how can I understand these laws in a manner that we can all cooperate and make sure that the laws work for my child, and I also do what I can do from my side, whether from my background, from how I've been trained and all that, to make sure that I also impart this to my child without contravening any rights of the child. I stop here, leave it ahead to someone.
Thank you so much, John Ladu, for very important perspectives into understanding the children's rights and finding and understanding that actually if it's both society, be it the government of the countries we live in or the society is working for the good of the child, the parents are doing their best for the good of the child. And it's the understanding in between here that most of the time is lacking. And how do we bridge that gap to be able to understand that we mutually are interested for the good of our children? And it's so befitting that we have Emmanuel with us to give us that perspective. You have listened now to John, to us, the grown-ups talking. You came to Australia as a 4-year-old, and now you are a young man. So you have really felt in your body how it is to grow up in a society where your mother's not grown up in, your parents have not grown up in. So please give us your perspective into that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dora. And yeah, coming here as a young kid, it's very different. As a young kid, I kind of understood the ways it works back home because I was kind of raised there. And then coming here, it's a whole different shift. You learn new things, kids see new things that other kids aren't doing that we normally do at home. So I think kind of the disconnect is when some things from home is okay, but with here it's not. I've seen this happen with my own little brother. Sometimes there's a disconnect between my mom and dad and him, and I kind of understand what's going on with him, so I can kind of be a bridge there. And I feel like with the kids that are born here and parents from back home, they try to discipline in the same way, and it kind of doesn't mesh together, and that kind of creates tension. And then the kids, they hold a bit of resentment, and then they'll stop listening to their parents at a certain age. They won't, they'll just start going crazy. It's one of those things where if you can't be a teacher, a mentor, someone your child can look up to, their best friend, or just someone who can be there for them, then as they get older, that relationship will, die down, and they won't look up to you anymore, and they just look at you like, oh, this person just looks after me, takes care of me, but I don't have to listen to them, so I'm gonna just do what I want. And that's what a lot of the things I see with a lot of kids nowadays, and it's kind of scary. So I think some of the things that parents need to do or should do is understand some of the laws, as John was talking about what's happening here, and then also they should be able to talk to their children. I know children can be, emotionally, it can be emotional, it can take a lot of your time, but I see it as a duty instead of something that should be taking care of your time. Because remember, the kids aren't the one who were asked to be born. You guys were the one who decided to have a child. So as you guys deciding to have a child, it's your responsibility and your duty to raise that child up to be someone who is an upholding citizen. And that's why I think where all of everything John has said with the, with sorry, so with all the help that the government gives, it's meant to help protect that child so it can be an upholding citizen as well. So with some of the stuff that they don't agree with that we normally agree with, like some children doing dishes maybe at the age of 5, as an example, as the league said, but they don't do that here. It's more of child labor. We have to find a way to keep that teaching there to teach them, okay, this is what you're going to need in the future, but not at such a young age. Just focus on being a child first, then we'll teach you that as you go along. But yeah, that's just some of the things that I've seen. But at the end of the day, it's all about relationships. That's what I say. And yeah, that's all I really have to say. Thank you.
Oh, Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Those were really great points you've pointed out for us. As parents, it's our duty. You guys didn't choose to be here. We have to take on the duty, the responsibility that we have, made on ourselves. So thank you for that. We take it further. And yeah, of course, the relationship is very important. And looking at it has to be like age adequate, the responsibilities we give our children. All children should learn how to either wash dishes, clean their room, but all the tasks they are given should be age adequate. So thank you so much for that. I'll go further to the next question. And most of us South Sudanese parents, we carry traumas from the wars we have experienced. Some of us have been living as refugees in neighboring countries before we resettled in the different countries we are living in now. Some of us are resettled in countries where we have to learn a new language. Like in my case, in Norway, I had to learn the Norwegian language, the culture, and a new way of life, totally different from what I was used to. And in most cases, children learn the host country's language faster than the parents. They start speaking the language, they start understanding the codes of the society, and they also start to be like translators or interpreters for their parents. And this has been creating problems for many families because there's some sort of power imbalance arises in the family over time, and parents somehow start losing their authority because now they're giving the children so much authority in terms of interpreting for them things that are really important. And being a parent figure in the family, you kind of lose your authority because your children now know a lot about the society you're living in, and they also translate for you a lot of stuff. So how does this power imbalance affect parents in exercising their roles? And again, with that coming to a new country, many experience unemployment, poverty, and marginalization. And how does this also affect South Sudanese in the different societies or communities we are living in? I'll start with you, Gune. Would you please give us your input on that, on how this power imbalance can affect us as parents in exercising our roles? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dora, and thank you, everybody. Yeah, from a mother's perspective, let me say, coming to the West, we all thought of coming to raise our children in a safe environment and give them the best we could give them. But I have seen within our community, like the South Sudanese community, some people, like many parents, especially the moms, they are not educated. Some, they don't know English. They started coming to learn English here in Canada. And as Dora mentioned, children learn English within the same year they came in. I was lucky, at least I was among the Sudanese who knew English from back home. But I have seen the challenges that parents have overcome to the extent that when children are translating, they tend to take out, if the child has a problem at school, for example, they tend to twist the problem for their own benefit. This is what I found out, that sometimes I ended up translating for some of the parents in the school in case of a problem. And then we normally go back to use our local Arabic to translate. And issues have arisen because the children tend to take the whole idea, or the children tend to take the, let me say, let me say ideas. So actually, let me just use ideas, and try to twist it and lie to their parents. I have one of our community members here. We had to go to the school. I'm not a social worker. I'm a family financial service. But the only thing is that lady speaks my language, my dialect. So we had to come in and help. To get social workers in that part, there's nobody in our language that time who uses our language who can translate. So we ended up having challenges. But our community here, they were able to encourage. We have young ladies, social workers who are helping out. And I believe there should be, if we could compare between home and here, parents still have the say in everything. It is not that totally we give the rights to the children to tell us what to do or how they want things to run. We can collaborate. And that is why in most of the schools, they have a program that says parenting in two cultures. And most of the parents are encouraged to take these courses so that they know how to use their own cultures with the cultures here in the diaspora to help their children. Thank you, Dora.
Thank you, Bune. Thank you. Dominic, your perspective into this? Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Let me say hi to you, the viewers. I tend to agree with what my sister said. I'm, one of the persons that also I came from an English, background to a place where I have to learn a language that is totally different in terms of the grammar and how people talked it. In the beginning, it was really very difficult. But over the time, what I realized very quickly is to develop my skills of the language, because I know the challenges will come when, I have my children, because like somebody said, children tend to learn a lot very quickly. Even now, they are challenging us with the language. And they say, you can't pronounce this, yeah? You can't do that. And these are some of the things that we've been confronted with. Yeah, but of course, I have seen, because I've been here almost since I came, almost like 7 years. I could see the challenges. That is real. There are people who have come to this country for almost like 19 and 20 years. They don't even know the language. And coincidentally, when I was reading a text, because I can now read the language, like I write. And now they were talking about new entrants in the country, those newbies that they come, they start to learn the language in the first couple of months. They think they know, and they're enthusiastic to talk the language. You go to the street and start talking, only to come and realize that this is not the language that you are supposed to be speaking outside there. And then you started getting demoralized. And here comes the problem. Once you get demoralized, it will be very difficult to now pick up with the language, because everything you will have a feeling that what you are saying here and there sounds pretty much wrong, and as an old person, you don't want to embarrass yourself. Okay, that one's happened now. When there are certain organizations, workplaces, that is typically an environment where they will tell you that is a Dutch culture, where you have to learn the language. The meetings are done, and sometimes you have to live with the realities that either you jack up your potentials in order to learn the language, or you also live, and it happens. So a lot of people ended up migrating because after staying here for a couple of years, and they came and realized this is not a very good place. I mean, how come as a big person I'll be struggling to learn the language? And they started moving, and people separating, because the fathers who wanted to go and secure an environment. Then the children will have to come, and some of them ended up liking that place, but the children did not like those places, because they grew in another environment. They have friends already in the establishes, and like somebody have said earlier, that the society here is structured in such a way that it is it is children driven. The rights of the children are observed and taken into considerations. And as parents, sometimes you end up succumbing to the will of your children, whether you like it or not. So yeah, it is a challenge. It is not a straight line, as I always say. But of course, as new entrants, sometimes you have to know that you are in this environment, and therefore you have to do better than your best in order to learn the language. But of course, the challenge comes with people who have never been in the school before. You go and get women, and they're totally blue, and that in and of itself is a problem. Because then, if you have people with a certain level of education, at least they have gone to the classroom, it will be very easy to pick. And I've seen here there are situations where these Eritreans, they don't know English, they don't know Arabic, they don't know, they just talk Tigrinya, they don't know Dai, and you have to teach that person. I mean, how are you going to start even teaching that person? You will need to have a translator and those kind of stuff. So the challenges are real for parents, but of course, like Gune said, it becomes more even to the children, because then you have to help your children with their homework. At least you have to see, what they are being taught. And otherwise, you will also be missing things. So this is my submission, and I'll stop here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dominic. And yeah, talking about languages, last time we were asked whether we, who are in the panel, have taught our children our mother tongue, and that's also another discussion. We can leave it for next time. But English is not our mother tongue, and the audience, our South Sudanese audience, not everyone speaks English. So in between, please speak Arabic Juba so we can reach out with the message to everyone. So please remember that. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dominic, for your insights. I'll go on to you, Michelina. As I mentioned earlier on, that many of us parents have migrated to the West. We experience unemployment, and because of that, there's also poverty and marginalization. So as parents, this affects us very much, and also as a result, it also affects our children. You working in the child welfare services, how can you support families in their role as parenting these children that are born or growing up in the diverse communities we are living in? How can the child welfare services support? Because many parents are so scared of the child welfare services. There are many who could have gotten help earlier on before things escalate, before the situation gets bad, but they don't dare do that because we don't know what the child welfare services does. People are scared that their children will be taken from them. So please tell us, how can the child welfare service support families who are experiencing unemployment, poverty, or marginalization? And if you can do that also in Arabic Juba, it would be really great. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all, the team, for being today here. I wanted to make one disclaimer that I'm speaking here today not on behalf of my work, but it's on behalf of myself and the experience I acquired through the years being here in the diaspora. Before I could dive into what you just asked me now, let me go back to some points that Gune mentioned earlier. مشكلة عندنا مع عيال ومدارس ومشاكل اللي حصل في community in general. نمرة واحد, it is true we came here أنا ما أعرف إنجليزي. أنا ده ذاته أنا كان ما أعرف إنجليزي, but I have to learn. The other thing, when, for example, kids are given letters or given done something in the school and they are asked to bring their parents to come in, and in that regard, when the parent maraf Ingilizi, hajade always, it's not done like just kelamule janara kelamule parents atake kedeja fi madrasa fi jawab daiman bikatibu kan katibu jawab de jibu fi betita umade ay walabu ay jawab jamin madrasa itaaraf jana take ga hadir fi madrasa da mata shilu jawab de wodile jana de kedo yagara fi nas ta community ketira la araf Ingilizi ita bagder shilu jawab de ita burale community member ita bikela asma ana indi jawab ja min madrasata jana lakin ana ma araf katibu fogo shunu jua hinak kede ita agara kede lana yala ta bori lana. In that way you avoid that level alta bodi jana taki kede interpret later lano ma kulu message algi ja min madrasa lazim jana kede agara o kede araf message de shunu في حاجات المستوى تيال وفي حاجات على حسب مستوى parents في secret سلاج ونسو في حاجات ما child appropriate اللي تبقدر share مع جنا لكن مشكلة تتنا ذاته as parents في diaspora أن عندنا pride شديد لانه كان جواب جلده تبكي لما هو أنا سكن شيلو لفلان كده راجع لنا وبعرف يصير تتاي وتاني أنا بعرف قالي جنا تتاي ما قاموا كويس ولا جنا تاي عندي مشكلة يلا زي ده بيبانوا كانوا زول ده ببلاك ميل إنت في community لأننا عندنا مشاكل كتير في community لأننا ما قاعد address. So في حالة ده أي حاجة الجام من institutions تبلت هل تفوقه إذا كان عارف النفس تكيت ما عارف روتان ده راين your best friend ولا somebody الباك ده راينه بينتربريت later أو كان ما في طريقة ذاته في institution ده كلام لو من قالي بإنجليز البسيط هل تباك ده ونسو ده كلام قالي me I don't understand this I need interpreter حتى إذا كان وري لي جانا إذا كلام قالي يا وري لي teacher تاك أنا ما understand روتان ده كده واي لانا interpreter في lines كتير في offered all the time all over إذا بلقوا interpretation زول بينتربريت ليه وبوري ليه كانت ما زول ده ذاته كده عارف إذا منو إذا بقدر أعمل حاجات داك it is possible. وتاني الناس جي كافوا كلام social services ما حاجة بطال ما قال أنا قونس عشان أنا في social services أمون في هناك عشان أمون بميك sure جنا ده جرابة بطريقة كويس ليه؟ لأنه منين دي experts like my brother John Lado mentioned earlier في experts the child psychology في teachers في all جوانب الجدير ما how Jenna will be brought up عشان كده أمون جي مونيتا أمون قاينو حل جنا ده جرابة بطريقة لا appropriate ولا لا أنا تنا ده مجازفة وكتانا جرابة في بلد ولا أستاذ بدوجيتا إنت بيجا في بيتا بيشتكي وما تاكي بدوجيتا ولا أبوتك بدوجيتا you know وفي بلد ده حاجة زي ده ما في كان تعينه critically في حاجات child social services حاجات ده welfare تجنا الليلة جنا كان جنا تاي كان جا في بيت جسمه وساكا كيف أنا بيستغرب يا أستاذ جنا ده معلو جا وساكا زي ده حصل شنو قبل جنا عمل شنو في مدرسة أنا بحسده you know كان هو عندي بروسيس في دان إذا بيتشيك إذا بيميك شو قالي ما في حاجة بطال حصل ناس السوشيال سيرفيسز ومن ما يشتغل على أساس حاجة الجي حصل الليلة ومن قاينوا للفيوتشر كان جنا دي رابع الليلة في بيت مثلا الناس قاعد شرب all the time ناس جي شاكل في مستقبل جنا دي فيوتشر تو بيكون شنو لأنه قاينوا دي أو كالتشر في بيت وبيكون اوتوماتيك لجنا دي بكرة بعد بكرة وكمان بعشرة وكلام نو مامي قاموا زدو دادي قاموا زدو why am I not doing it you know حاجات دي prevent what will happen in the future كواجات ولا ناس تبارا هنا they won't get discipline يال but that's the difference between us and them discipline تتنا ناجي سيتي مجانا توال أمشي يا وسخة هناك يا حمار وكده وحاجات دي affect يال لأن أنا ما أعرف في مستقبل جانا برابا كيف جانا بونس وجي throw insulting words وإنت ما أزو جانا كده رابا بطريقة زي you know إنت أزو جانا تا كده رابا بطريقة الناس بيحترموا وهو ذاته بيندي dignity هو بيفيل يعني he's being ولا she's being respected كان في حاجة تنادي جانا تكوتو فالتا حاجة زي حصل why كده explain أنا كان تعينو فعلا نو غلطان إنت بديسيبلينو بطريقة كانوا جي واتش كمبيوتر تي في ولا شنو take out the hours كلام من يوم الليلة بحاجة اللي تعملوا ده I'm taking out this time the TV الكيلومتر go watch ولا video games جانا باين زرو بزلان وكان سكرته ودي حتى time out كان جانا دازو for example favorite food تو شنو إذا قطعوا favorite food ده ودي أي نوت أكل تاني you know دي حاجة كان أنا فعلا جينا عملوا will not have problems with social services ثانيا system the social services
Makalina,
yes
sorry for interrupting. I'll just stop you there. This is a very important point. You continue. Because Lily has to leave us soon, in just a few minutes. If she can just give us her insight in regards to mental health and the effects of it on parenting roles, and then you'll get in there.
Okay.
Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, thank you. I think parenting is when we look at, like, for example, us who grew up in the war, we have a lot of trauma. It's not only war, even the way, depending on where you come from. If you come also from a violent family, you find that you carry up that trauma. And the trauma, mostly when the parents live with the trauma, some of us, like, we don't know how to control ourselves emotionally. At times it affects us, but at times we tend to transfer it into our children. I'll give an example of some of our members, immigrants, for example, who come from the East with the trauma, wherever, you find that they really torture kids at home. If there's anything, I have an experience with one that she was so scared she couldn't go back, and she has to tell the teacher that I saw a knife in the house, and I'm scared because maybe my dad might slaughter me tonight. So, because the way the way we came from the war zone, the way we were treated during the war, we have those trauma, and we tend to transfer it on our children. When some slight things happen, we tend to beat them. We tend to like, for example, get the knife and scare them, even if we don't want to do something with them. And once they see the knife, it traumatizes the child, because when, for example, when the child goes home, when the child wants to come back home, he will think, well, like, oh, maybe I'm gonna do this, and my dad's gonna beat me up, my mom's gonna beat me up, or is gonna cut me with a knife. And when you look at the child emotionally, even the performance of the child at school will not be the same, because at times when the child is in school, the mind is divided, because she thinks when she's not safe for her home, at times she feels it's safe at school, and you find that she doesn't concentrate because she knows after school she doesn't know how she's going to live. And at times we find that our parents, or we parents, we fight, or just like my sister was saying it, when you drink it in the house and the kids see what you're doing, it dramatizes them as well. And for us parents, we think maybe because whatever we are going through, we need to drink so that we can do away with the stress we are going, or whatever we have in our mind. But again, it's not a healthy environment for kids, because this affects them and affects them mentally. And at times you find that they close themselves inside, they won't come out. They stay the whole day, don't know what the child is doing inside, but because mentally the child is not is stable, is not sound, because of whatever is going in their house, they take it on them. So as a parents, we need to be very, very careful. I know we have gone through a lot as South Sudanese. We have the trauma that we carry on, but let's be very, very careful on how we handle these kids, on how we even treating ourselves, because you taking the substance is thinking it's the best way to do to stabilize you or to forget about the past. It's not helping. I will advise that let's seek the resources that we have, because in our community, most of us, just like what my sister was saying, we don't want to search for those resources. They are there. They are not bad. As parents, we need to go for counseling, for example, because if you know you cannot do, you're not doing good, just don't keep it. And at times, as some of the parents, we isolate ourselves from the community, and we tend to live alone. So living alone does not solve that problem. It's going to affect you more and more, and it's going to affect your family. Let's use the resources around. It's there for us to use it. If you need help, go to the community. I'm sure not all of us in the community are so bad. You should have a friend, at least, that's somebody that you trust, somebody that you can share with, because the more you keep quiet, the more you harm yourself. And I'm gonna tell you, mental health is a real thing that we live with. It's always there. Don't pretend. Please ask questions, ask for help if you need it. don't keep quiet, because it's not only going to kill you alone, it's going to destroy you, it's going to destroy the family, even the children. And that's why we find many families, some kids have run out of their house. We don't know why, but they should be, because the trauma of the kids go through in their house, it tend to affect them. And some of them, like, I'm just done with this life, they go and live their own life. But that's not going to help. Let's look at the effort, let's look at the time that we have spent to take care of these kids. Let's forget the past, let's help each other, and please reach out for help. Mental health is real. It's a healthy issue that it's very common among ourselves, but we don't want to accept it. But we should know that we need help. We need help. Our family needs help. A friend needs help. Ask if you need it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lily. These are really important insights you've come up with. Seek help, because, as you said, there's also counseling for us as parents and also for the children to get the help that they need. And that's where Michelina started already talking about how the child welfare services can be of support there. So thank you, Lily, for your insight. I'll let you go, and I'll have Michelina.
I'm just going to give my recommendation.
Yes,
I'm going to
thank you.
summarize up, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
my
sure.
summary is, let's not forget about our identity. Let's teach our kids how we were raised, where the origin is. I know some kids were born here, some came, like my son here, he came when he was very little, but it's always good. We are the first teachers to our children. We are the best role model to our children. Depends on if you want, and it's me, I normally believe is your success does not depend on how much money you have in account or how much asset you have, but it's, for me, I believe is how you have raised the children. Children are gifts of God. We should know how to raise them. Let us educate them about God, because in this country, if we don't know God and our children don't know God, my friend, it's not easy. It's very challenging to raise up kids in Western world. But first thing is, let kids know God. To educate yourself. If you don't educate yourself, you cannot become a role model to the kids. We have resources here. This country, we have a lot of opportunities. Let's show our kids the importance of education, because even if you came, you are like you didn't know English, we have adult education. Why don't you roll in education in adult education to get that small basic skills that we need? Because when you are talking to a child and you're not an example, then it's become for you so difficult. So I recommend that let's train ourselves, train our kids, teach them the best culture that we have, especially our food. Me, I believe my girls, they know if I don't eat mula combo, if I don't eat mula bamia, I've not eaten. So I have to teach them on how to cook this mula bamia. And again, let's not give our time only that is all about clock in and clock out. Relationship with the kids is very, very important. Talk to them, make them to be your friends. Once they are your friends, anything out there, they'll run to you, they'll share with you, because they know you always listen to them. You become friends. But if you isolate and you're always like working because you're after money, my friend, you don't know what's happening. Let's balance our work relationship and our children back home. And as those who can take the kids back home, please have time once in a year, in 5 years' time, at least twice in 5 years' time, take the kids home to socialize with those who are home. Connect, have a network with your family. When you are talking to your family, make sure the kids know that you are talking to your mom today. Let the kids know that you are talking to the uncle. Create a WhatsApp group so that you can communicate. Let them know that us as a South Sudanese, we cannot live alone. We need each other. We need to support, because I'm not going to be there tomorrow. I'm not going to live forever, but they have to know their root. They have to know their uncles. They have to know their cousins. How do you do that? By connecting them right from now for them to know each other. So let's not only stick that in Western world, we have to teach them. There are so many good things in the Western world, but very important, let's show them where we came from. Let's educate ourselves. Let's educate our children. Let's give good let's be a role model to our children. And that's what I can recommend. Thank you so much. And I was so honored to have you all in this panel. I wish you a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was a great recommendation. Thank you, Lily. We'll have you back again. We might have a
thank you.
part 3. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good day. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, Michelina, short of cutting you continue now with how the child welfare services can support parents and children as well.
Thank you. There are a lot of resources that are available in the West here, especially since that their parenting system is like centered on the children. For example, for Madaris, there are resources. You can ask for case workers, for Madaris. You can ask them, I need support. They can make referrals. You get in contact with social services, you better, like, for example, ita kederua for social services, let them know, Ana Jahina, I'm an immigrant, Wana Jumusade. I need to know how to do things. They have all these systems there. Tanian fi family resource centers that are available all over. You can go to them, ask to sit down with a caseworker or an advocate or someone who is working there. How can I get help to deal with this kind of things? Hinak, they will be so happy to help you. Tarian, when you get this contact with social services and like through a report or allegation that was made against you, allegation they might get based direct with social services. Allegation they fit third party. Aliaugi report based on what they see, what is happening with the kids. What felon everywhere. I don't disagree with my sister earlier saying Gali parents feel they are being watched. To some extent, yes. Watch lay for the betterment of your kids. Lanu kan zol wahid ana lela kan maino, zol tani baino haja. Kan zol dak maino, maybe bus driver baino. Kan bus driver maino, maybe zol fedukan baino. So it's all, we are all like, it's a teamwork. If you look critically, this is where we say it takes a village to raise a kid. We do have that thing also for Junub, you know, in our country of origin. Jana can misbehave physical, Jiran sakit bayan, hey, what is going on? Ita malu gaman haja zere. They are the same hina, but it's in a different way. Hina de ustaz bayano, bikela mo malita gaman zere, instead of reporting to you direct, sometimes one get report directly social services. When you don't have that connection, my institution salial take gaten, then you will have a problem. Alela ana ma bazu jana tai bora fi medresa, kulyom sabana be drop, and then at the end bija fi bed ma baamulu results quiz. Ana zato bistagrab what is going on. Muderisin kaman bistagrab, then they will figure out what's going on. Fi psychologist, alumon beginning moment basad what is going on. Dukuti jana re falta basad. Why are you performing well? What's going on at home? How is mommy doing? How is daddy? Yala can be loopholes here. Biketi with job. For you now to address this. And kanuman hasalamulu maraten talata mara, itamar responders, of course, where they can go ahead and report you to social services. Now that authority to come now and look at your house, what's going on. You know, dema haja batal in a way. Like it's a good way, it's a good thing if we take it in a positive way. Lan anna min trauma lanna mashenabo, aya haja na gahenu negative. Yala teriga tawana satanna sakit is a problem. But ilta basa de hey kef malita ita bibadak. Aswa malita biga gidala zere. You know, simple things. Anna can gishilu beteriga negative, definitely we'll get it in negatively. If we take it positively, of course, it will come in positively. You know, we need to have that relationship, Mayan, in a way that you still maintain borders. Relationship take Mayan be different according also to their ages. And relationship take my spouse differs based on your understanding. It can give deal my jana. Don't completely say, oh, the jana sukera back there shout low anytime and about no. That child is a human being. Kuto falta wonu sumo bira. And that bira terigal ta gonu sumode u bishilu jua be terigal kwais. wo bayin oh mami kurium kan fi haja zero bujakuta na faltan na bonus wo ma bi korkore lana korkore de haja really we are supposed to be discouraged kedan na ma korkore le yal jana kan fi wodi that respect wodi qima and then you get in return jana take bi bonus later kaman beteriga bira. I'm not saying this because I'm perfect, because I'm a parent, but ana gonusu lana I have my weaknesses too. So when we accept our weaknesses and you work on fixing them, of course, then you will have a good outcome. I don't want to take all the time, and I do fursa le bagina stanin kaman kedonusu.
Thank you so much. Ladu, would you put some input here, and then Gune, you get it.
Actually, when it comes to child welfare services, Macleana has actually exhausted the whole area. That is the general understanding of the Western societies. It's only that we have like an extra eye, which usually, like at home, it is the other parents who keep an eye on the other children. And they make sure that it's everybody's responsibility. But here is that it is everybody's responsibility. I can also, when I look at my neighbors and the child is being mismanaged, mishandled, it is as a citizen, it's my responsibility, not because I'm a social worker or I'm working the government and all that, but just because I see that that is not very right, and I can send a message to anonymous without antagonizing myself with my neighbor. I can send it anonymous and say, please check this. I observed something like that, worrying about the child. So this is an element that يعني هنا جنوبين مرات كتير ما جنوبين براو تلقى ذات أفارقة كتير بخافوا يعني أي حاجة بيشيلوا بخوف قال خلاص عملوا سواتا يا خلاص زول راش تكنا instead of thinking قال اشتكيت هسا كلام ده سا ولا كلام في حاجة زول لازم وسببه اشتكيت هسه قال ده ما خلاص جيبوا سواتا سواتا ده خلاص دي قال لك في راسك بقى bezil o lagbata de kan zado social service jasa de gal balas zato kalam kalas karam. And instead of cooperating, say okay kedana asuma kalam de ala nine office no al say ana mulzuno sala kan te kalam gal ana kan say zalan zaman dak ana kan zalan lakina sazel denenze okay so ita magasi dugu jana tani gala mafi خلاص اجدنتا لكن كانت بقى سيلا جدا بزيل بتخيان خلاص هون باينو قال انت زادو ديسكواليفاي انت ما بارنتال بقدر انا ما شو قال جنا ده سي بقعد بسلام في بيت خلاص كان كده كده انا فتش طريقه انا انه قال ممكن امه ده ولا ابوه ده زلان كل زمن ده بيجي حج مجنا ذاته جنا جنا في خطر so مرات كتير ina kida ina jede gal naze magasit silu jena san ganda sala kan mun silu jena bara minta jena de magili go la valta bal biligo na de beso bisilo bukuto fi bet nasal zatu mumkin ma ahal to ma indi lav lo bes gamul shokol asab ganun lakin kan jena de gene metata cooperate mo jena de biligo laval from the real parent. That's the element which is missing in many times in the social services. So instead of antagonizing and missing a child, it's better cooperate and keep the love to your child. And you can also learn. Ita fajet ketir nas bidari sita. Fezat tamaruf. Lakin kanta humble tabigera lali mubadin, but fitri tazadu bikun accent parent yani. Jana taki zadu bikun in the peace of bed. We relax ma fi mashakil. Enta bilahis bin ilaka taki ma jana taki ghair. ما قال خلاص جنا ده استيكانا خلاص بقى انا ما عندي قوايا انا خلاص بقى اسا جنا ده بقى يا ذاته بوس في بيت ما كده ما كلام ده كده هو بانه جنا ده بس حقته كده حافظه وكان ناس حقه بانه جنا ده حقته فيك تحافظه تم بيس حياتكم كويس ما ايام ما جنا تاك ما في مشكله سيستمر.
Thank you, John Lado. Yeah. I didn't know you speak so good Arabic. You were skipping. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yes, Emmanuel has to soon go, so we'll have to let him in before we let Gune, because I know Gune won't let him in. She talks a lot. So, Emmanuel, I would really love to have your perspective here, especially in regards to young people trying to navigate between the different cultures. You are Australian, you're born there. Mama has tried so much to teach you the South Sudanese culture. You have lived in the community, and she expects a lot of things from you, and the Australian community expects a lot from you. And in between, I guess you feel kind of torn in between. But how do you navigate through this, as a young person, trying to fit into the ideals at home and also the ideals in the Australian society, and being just Emmanuel, the Emmanuel just that you want to be? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's a really hard question. Just with that question, when I really think about it, is as a young kid, I've always thought about trying to make my mom happy and also trying to be a really good citizen at the same time. But then also what I didn't notice is that as the years have grown on, the pressure was a lot, It was just like I gotta be able to take my family out of like poverty, try to become financially successful in a way, and school's the best way, as they would tell you. And then also at the same time, I'm just like, but am I doing it for me? That's the real question. What makes me happy? What gets me to be me, my unique self? And that's why I feel like a lot of kids my age, and I've talked to a lot of them, and it's just this constant battle with like the parents, man. It's just like we have talks about like, what happens if I don't want to be a lawyer, doctor, or any of these things? What happens if I want to be something else? Maybe a sports player, or or an artist, or so maybe do something that's different than that traditional, like the ones that make the most money, like traditional 9 to 5s. But with that, it comes a lot of conflict because the parents is like, no, like it's talking to a brick wall. It's just like, as much as you learn from like school and how to negotiate and how to talk to them, it's like talking to a brick wall, trying to be like, yeah, I really like doing this, telling them, oh, I really love art, creative things. I might seek what's the name, a job into that, but it's like, as long as it's a hobby, it's fine. But the main goal is, lawyer, doctor, all of this, and that's where kids, it's so much pressure because they want to do it for their parents, but at the same time, will they be happy doing it? And that's the thing that I realized when I was in high school and school. And then it was just like I had constant battles in my head, like I have to do this. The multicultural prophecy come from a war torn town to a country, and then become very successful, and then get that degree, and then show everyone off like, look, it's something amazing. You came from a war torn country to this country, and now you became a doctor, lawyer, made something of yourself. But when you're growing up here, you learn a lot about like finding out who you are and your own identity, and trying to figure out what makes you happy and your passion in life. And if everything is closed off but those avenues, how are you really supposed to find out what you truly love and what you truly want to do? I've seen a lot of kids drop out from engineering courses, from law school, from what's it, oh no, not medical school, law school, uni itself, just to go find out what they can do, take time. And it's not just a like Sassoonese thing, it's a parent thing, just in general. A lot of parents want this from kids. They want the best for their kids, and we understand that you guys want the best for us. But also at the same time, we have to come at a crossroads and be able to talk about these things, instead of just being shut off and having that one avenue the only way we can follow. Because I remember having heaps of talks with my mom and my dad. It took a long while. It took a long while, but they finally let me go my own way. But if I wasn't willing to have those uncomfortable talks, then I would still probably be in uni, and I would still be in uni, doing something that I wouldn't like to do. And I would kind of sort of have a resentment for that, because even though it's good for me to do it, like you can see on the outside, it's good for me. It's not something I want to do. It's more something for themselves, you know. And then that brings me to the point: if it's something that they want me to do, what I would have liked to seen is my own parents follow their own dreams. Seeing them go for something that they want to do. Going after a degree, because then that'll give me the confidence. Okay, if my parents can do it, I see them, they've done it, they put in the hard work, I can do it too. You know, but just having that uncertainty, what happened if I fail? What happened if I won't be able to make it? You know, what happened if I fail the family and I won't be able to do all this? It's just it's really crushing. Like a lot of kids move out of their house, don't talk to their parents, you know, because they can't talk to their parents. So when they get old enough, they're just like, yeah, I can't deal with this no more. I'm just gonna move out, live my life how I want to live it, not really consult or just go over my own, check on them from time to time, and then just basically just live my life. And that's where the disconnect comes in. But yeah, being able to navigate through that myself, I say it came down to like one thing. It's being able to have those uncomfortable conversations with my parents, telling them, hey, I don't think this is the right where I want to go. And then they would ask me, like, which way do you want to go? I'd be like, I don't know yet. And then they would keep asking me, which way do you want to go? I don't know. Just let me figure out. Give me time. And then they gave me the time. And then I was able to figure out what I actually wanted to do. And from us having that talk, it just made our relationship a whole lot better. Because I know I can trust them to tell them, oh, yeah, hey, mom, like, you know, this is how I'm feeling. Like, you know, what do you say? What can I do? And my mom, we have an awesome relationship. I'll be honest. You know, it's amazing being able to talk to your mom about some of the problems you go through. So I'm very proud about that. But yeah, just what like Lily was saying, being able to connect with the parents and being able to talk through things will hold some stuff back off. Like, you know, like probably help the kids navigate their way through adolescence into adulthood, because that's the main key. You're trying to help your child figure out who they want to be, not who you want them to be, you know? So that's basically what I got, but thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. And as you said, you know, having that relationship with your parents is really important. It makes things easier, and taking those uncomfortable conversations. And it's something that we are not used to. We've been raised up in our countries because we are not like, it's a dialogue-based conversation, which we have to do now in the context we are living in. And really, if we invest our time on it, we will get dividends, results, and the impact of it is even greater because our children get connected. So I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud of your mom, my classmate, you know, many years ago, producing such an amazing young man. So thank you so much for taking your time on a Saturday to be with us and sharing your perspectives. We'll definitely have you back again. So thank you so much. All the best.
All right, all the best.
You.
You guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Gune. Now we have heard from Emmanuel. How can we support these young people in navigating through these difficult terrains, trying to meet up the expectations from within the families, from outside the communities, when we also as parents go through a lot of things, unemployment. You have been very active in the community, South Sudanese community, empowering parents financially to be able to be financially stable and help their families and their children. So please give us your perspective.
Okay, shukran. Takon kerana lela de kerana jiru bara bijuba tay. Kere stakal this time. Masalan, nagul parents alma indu shock all day. They diamond mashakil. Because ita biligo fi bed. Anna indi nibi nusuan gasrub merisa, rojal gasrub merisa because of frustration. Yala family violence biga. Kalamta family violence biga gura ketiri. Yani nas gidu kubadun, bolis gija, giturju rajil. Ya mara gijere ma iyal fi shelter. Anna indu cases ketir batal. Ini, lanna fi Canada wide. Tabiligo fi kulu medina fi mashakil. Bara fi biyut. So, lakin nagamul zere. Gurush, masalan gurush al umahat giligo min child tax benefit. Wana gi encourage jumon. Kedomon safe gurush education saving fund le iyal. Gurushes kanu $1,000. Ukaman based on income. Kan income take mafi hukuma bodileta gurushes simam. Marat bodileta akter min 1,200 tomon almangodi le nasindu iyal. Yala bideri sumara tabamul zere kutu gurushta education al RESP lejena kutu gurushta ne fi saving yala gurushta ande at least bizidu fogo fi akil fi haya lakin kaman fi social services godi gurush le nas al mashagalin godi leta haja al bidafa ijar bet bidafa leta kahraba wala moya wala basic needs mon magodi gurush ketir yala mon bikutita fi training for example tabaramulu trainings besal either tadaramul business hukuma fi barnamijat tabidakhalu tabamul leta barnamij ta business lakin taban ya kan nasa ningamul business sometimes I will go fi African community wala nagul South Sudanese communities in general anna indu mushkila sana anna gi support badun taino masalan zola in mind or language Arabi to taban wala English to taban lakini indu idea quest ta business anna kanjaka community anna bagder support zole na bagder bio min zole kan zole masalan tere zigi keto malabis anna bagder jibu malabis le zole na bagder sado de teriga lana gaino community staninde umon garfa badun folk zere tabil go zol mindu shogol language mafi taba amul shinu o zol jamin bele naindu nasta nata bele deke tirto mon dem muzarain lakini mon inak back home umon agde raino hayato mon quest umon giro mon gito bi akilato mon bara even hini fi diaspora de anna kan limu ida sawa with open mind anna bagder sadu nasal mashagalinde to reduce kalamta mashakila lanende fi community haja tani iyal asata bainu sijin tabele de junubini yake tir fogo naindu fi junubin tanin fitnin talata kanu gishtakal fi sijin nake social workers marad mungija kelim lanna mungingal ita kona lindu iyal ta kon teenagers ya jama ainu ta kon iyal ta kon de quest kan jana gura wen asma ta udugu telefon le jana ita fuwen sakira ta fuwen aruf kaman sabi hatta jana ta kere munu because fita biligo fi family tani talata ulat to kulu fi sijin dakalo kef because mongi follow mon dakalo fi gang umon indu sabi hat kef uma mabube jay gituru ju shokol ta minimum wage asan bes mon der dafa bills sibu iyal baraw fi bet the challenges al nasgi ligo inu ketir marat shokol kira quest ma fita biligo nasgi tala bara min medina de ketir gi hasil fi Canada zeri ita begin fi area de so gulna fi Edmonton de fi nasa ningi shtakal wen out of town 5 hours 10 hours away from their families especially rojal yala mara bejay kamangi jere fi shokol to bejay gijibu mushkila
I think Guinness experiencing some internet connection problems. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll continue and then let her get in. We are getting comments from the audience watching, and as Gune has been saying about the parents, talking in Arabic Juba, the parents and their role in the support that they get, because many children end up, like in crimes, in jails because of different issues, and then the parents not being available. Are you there, Gune?
Yeah.
We just lost you. Okay, get back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, they are mashakal al nas kitir gi facing. Yala financial literacy it is big because even back home anna jamine nagde anna maruf kalamta financial literacy. Lada na wosili yakella nagal to save something for retirement, for education saving le iyal. Yes, I did it. Lakin ana jay go kamang je worita more stuff. You have to invest, you have to do what of kelam. Kaman fi hajat dere yes. And then tagili go nuswan gishtakal. It needs shokol ya jama kanta nuswan kan mo ligo shokol wahe they try to apply for another one. Asa nende nuswan tanende ke kirlo mandebe ka silu contract tanadafa for example. Umon boramulu lomon trainings asa umon bishilu shokol tanadafa umon begini nedifo. Because zole bikele tagalana mindu luga wala na indu zaman ande ralimu English language. Because o jaini iyal fi itazuru akilu iyal welta der dafa rent welta der rafi English classes. Leana English classes taini de kanta gamulo link basic de magida faita gurush. Kanta gamul ESL tabiga wosul fi marhala al fog de bodile ta monthly allowance albisadi tabi dafa mo hajat asan keta focus fi medersa. Fi nas mina na jaini fi kamsen umo lista fi medersa up to now because maratando ke lana gala jamana zol jamin bondo Omar of English, Oga Jeribu, Oma goes to ESL, but she's still there. Oga albeso der alimu kitaba. Odar alim kitaba alim idu aseno bag der sado. Nefsa toma. Obag der ayno gurush to leana galo ligo rajil to gisilu gurush de gira solo fi. Junub. Ogida ligo account de fadi, especially accounts of joined. Masakil to ketir. witar gurus da man giji bulena lodokona al batal yala usually kanna encourage nuswan galis mashilu gurus de fata account tani bara rujale gija sakera galta kara betto mon kef ta bisheja marato kede fata account le iyal. It's really bad. Yala begato bayan kira aisa community member taga ya jama ana der sadu community member ta ide ana mader kara betta zol manatu naze maga understand yala rujal ta inde gija galo de gurusta iyal de tatai manatu kala zol al mashakal lo de rasur biu merisa min nefsa gurushal hukumo dile mara de gijibu mashakil naino yani guru de sala kano haba biu do nas dusman especially nuswanal mon ma bar what to do rujal to algija. I've faced a lot of these issues. Nagi sadu mara kalas mara de bukutu RESP and registered education saving plan for their kids. O bukutu guru.
Oh, okay, yeah. Saving money as a family, saving for the children education, but again, it causes problem because of lack of financial illiteracy. When it's only the woman doing the job, yeah. So that's really important.
And then
point.
Kids,
yeah,
and then cases dana ma barufu. Ita biligona staninga mushinu. Yani ita der sado as a community member because you see your people are lacking behind. Lakin akirato jaligo junubin as always. Ana of haja. I went to this college to study about it. Lakin Zoltan Almaruf de obi mesil galwarf. Oya begani ita ma baru warf kalam ne mi wen. Lakin obija oder argue maita zato. Oder kelle taya na barf hajere ka mul zera jere tamar wasma wen. Lakin maybe wasma kalam algi kelmu ita ma baru whether it's good or bad. Like anything you do with money, give it time. Lakin junubin de tagata alela takutu $100 in le education ta iyal. Ita kutu leta habbatani ina parseta kija go next week uruze jurubar. Malo fizo ana jora sultani fi Sudan udel jamade indu barnamij kire especially sama kanja barbecue gijare mashakil. De kalam ta nasal indu join account. Unless you understand one another. Firu jal tari manuswanta mon bigeni mon ba understand badon mon bisibu gurush de kere roa sevu ashan iyal. Lakini ya diamond fi life fi two sides of the coin. Fizol bikelim ai, fizol bikelim la. De kullu fi. Ita galvin jino kalam ta parents, can you address parents telling their kids I will kill you? Ana ligo kalam de fi, by the way, we had a zaman tasama yala iyal de jere gala bu uma de gina di uma iyal maderja uma de toale ana bikatul zola lela ana bikatul out of frustration taban yana tegal maluta ju katul iyal ta bon kalam zere unas fi park gala na taban ma iyal because marada zura fi shokol oya zola alwahid gishtakal rajil lema gishtakal yo galo taban kef yana de rofi bet iyal ma de ro ana bikatul unas. Yeah, now it becomes a threat. Lakin iyaleta banagas marabi juba. Or ta biligo our olden days bi kofu iyal gali ana bidubita malafraga ana bidubita malafraga. Yeah, iyal gaya sarugal what is la fraga gali? It is a wooden cooking stick. Kalas parents baga into muskela. Ita biligo biga fi teachers tanin marata fi mere sagija sadita. What is this? I heard a lot of children talking about that. See? And then we are hurting our children if we're doing our old style. These are medieval times. Mama, you need to stop. My own kids are telling me you're hurting our feelings. I think we need to sit down. My oldest, they often is very tough. He's currently 19. We have to sit.
Yeah. It is actually, Gune is talking about the threat that we parents use verbally by saying either I'll kill you, I'll do this for you, I will lock you up, all these things. And then it creates emotionally, hurts the children emotionally because children really get affected by it. It doesn't only mean that we physically abuse children, but mentally we also abuse children by the way we speak to them, how we talk about things, what we call them. Mekalina had already touched on that. So these are also one of the things that we have to be conscious about. How do we speak? How do we address children? How do we speak to each other also? Because it mentally kind of affects them.
Yeah, and then the good thing that the schools are doing, they are giving us parenting in two cultures. Even we have one of our own, fi ukutanna ini Sister Rejare, o kaman gideri su barnamij de, fi one of the agencies ini, parenting in two cultures. Hajat al nagali mini ya teriga tawana sa. Tenna maunu zeta Sudan al nasgi shout, kwe? Tabu onu zunon alta gainu jena kalam de gonu su sodde bira. Yalta ay ali mana jere. Na zaman fi bidayat dan na gonu su zeta junub de. The sot ali, yala mumjasta gal, why are you shouting? And I geripin. And if you're doing that, you're hurting my feelings. Fina silent because Sabata Sharsena, that's his favorite thing. Ujana bikore kanta shout low. Bini ataya kanainta besilu haya tanta kenga. Alilam bidu zol. Oto al bidu bogi zere. Umbasarita. My youngest are 10 years old, twins. Mombasa tagal. Are you really going to beat us? Means you don't love us if you do that. Because if you really love your child, you're not supposed to beat them, but you talk to them. Can you imagine? Hajat dere. Ito to kanindu niata der dugu deba kata pejasa do nefsa taki gali jama. Because sala kan zaman dugu-duganna. This is a different environment, come on. Uyare tagiliganna gigeni 24 hours ma iyal fi bet, unlike back home. Parents anna shagalin, ahal malian ma anna fi bet, that is how we grew up. Utaindu fi zoltani kebir gisadu fi bed and kan take mafa butake mafi lisa fi adal maita kon fi bed. Lakin hini kerain anna ya bes fi ma iyal tanna. See? And Dora, I can touch on that one too. The type of education. Ma anna gamol shinu. As parents use alta gengal, okay, anna jama education tanna from back home de anna magili go shogolina. So it made us go back to the university ini sanken nagara in order to get into that field, not knowing Kalanta racism and discrimination there is real in Canada. The silent type. You nasal na garamomon kulu jama the first time nakala suzere they all worked in field HR. Ana na fi talata nazere anna biga gishtakal fi sales time, insurance and said we went into that part because that was the only part that hired us that time. But we love financial literacy learners, and it's where our community lack. See, that's where our community lack. So, haja kaman quiz sadanna. Lakin ana zikir iyalta like Emmanuel mentioned gibel. Takum bikenga lo ana indo akutai dictora na kander kita geni dictor. Ana indo akutai le ukutai lawyer under kita geni lawyer. But it becomes kind of a family thing. Lakin anna geni situ haja white. We are supposed to ask our children's opinions. What are they passionate about before anybody ideas anna lomon. As my 10-year-old kanta kelim logali. Oh, anakander kita kun like my brother who is a kelim. No, mama. I have something different. What if other sada akuto de sunun waja yom tani. My daughter was she jammed there. Okay, no. Other kun dictor tasnana sono moderano twin brother tore kere kore. Asano bag de sadu muskela ta sunun. Akuta ne de kanta kello haje kiro gali no ya jama. I like fixing things, so I need to check on something. I'll give fix hajat. And I know everybody has their own something that they love to do. And kantamlu united a career, what do you call it? Career seminars or national gamul fi high school. They always tell the teenagers. I went there, I attended. Yalta ikul min rakal fi medersa anagirwa. Nabada medersa in 2007, my oldest brother Roda. So I became part of the Parents and Teachers Council. I've learned that from my dad when we were growing up. Kulu, up to high school, because I wanted to know what is happening. Because Kannagi compare how we grew up in Sudan, Hinide is a totally different environment. They have other cultures, they have other values that we don't understand. And our main thing, challenge Algi Hasil, as the mother, from the perspective of a mom, let me say, it's about food, ya jama. They had a ligo kebir. Yale can be a giraba mongijer akil bara. Takija vibet akil alta raka butakunta Junub Sudan de. One mabirudu. But we have a system. That is Miana Grudu Akel Tabelet. So every Saturday and Sunday, Nazgabara called full master Saba. They mean Anna Jaffi Belede. Up to now, full master Lisa Yale Grudu. Mombrudu Mara Kemod Masida. Because Saturday, Sunday, we eat Sudanese food. And they loved it. So from that time, up to Yaltanina Wuledini, we kept that system. Nalisa Gakola Kelata Natabelet. Ana Shilumon fi Sudan. Nina geni adi akulu sawa ma aya zol nasta nindu ya gal hai they say nasal gal wole du fi Canada tae kelim len na tae gali taki kan na chuma gal takaban bitar na chuma tama ba kelat so magaba kelat the people.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gune. Anyone wants to add to what Gune has said, and especially in regards to, the choice of education? We got a question from, or a comment from the audience that parents sometimes, or the children feel that parents pushes them to choose a certain professional or certain field of study. And parents do that because it's also the thing where they feel like, there's discrimination in the countries where we live in. There are certain jobs, there are certain studies. If you take them, you'll never get a job because you know that you will not be taken in because of the discrimination. So parents actually try to send in their children to study things that they think will give them job opportunities. John Ladu, I see your hand up. You want to say something, and then Michelina.
Yeah. Actually, my sister Guna was in this issue of career development. And many times we sit with a very old traditional thinking and pride of academics. That academic achievement is the best, is the way to success. And this is a myth. In the Western society, it has been proven. And I find many people who are very successful, made a lot of money, and big companies, they actually had no good academic background. Academics help you to come into a certain level, to have a broader perspective, and to specialize in certain areas. And so when parents think of that doctor, lawyer, and all these are the keys to success, it's a very old way of thinking. Actually, a child can perform best when he follows his own passion and interest. And that is the basis of which you will find that when a child is educate himself or trained in a specific field, he will be good at that and can hold for a very long time. It can perform very well. We are living in a very competitive society, and there means you have to be excellent in something. You cannot be excellent in something which your father says you should be. As Emmanuel had indicated very clearly to us, that sometimes you do it and you end up with a mixed feelings. And there you cannot be good in something when you have mixed feelings. Sala kanta garagalita tala dictor. Ita tala dictor kalam tabutake. Lain kanta gini nak fi operation table, you have to operate people, you just the image of abutake ya gene firas bitak ves galana gamula jerasan keda buta ekon pride. Au keda sanuma tai feel gala umon succeed in life. But the reality is you about your child. Is he going to be happy? Is he going to do this for the whole of his life for a very long time? And can he be able to improve in his career development? That with this job falls out, how is he going to cope after this? So this kind of old thinking, we need to revise it and look into it again. I have this discussion like today I have with my son who was 13 years, who was like thinking he wants to be a machine operator, and how do I get to be a machine operator? Then I say, yeah, what makes you think to want to be a machine operator? Yeah, because I really like to twist and grab things and play with this with fingers and dig and make holes, and say, okay, then let's go into the national digital arena where you can get all the information, and when inside within this, look at it, and say, these are the ways, these are the work. There are videos, there are information. He reads it and he looks at it. Yeah, what it requires to be done to come to that career, to that kind of work. So we need to be more supportive to what they are actually interested in, other than imposing, oh, I've been a social worker, I like working with people, and therefore I think you are my child. In order to be really my child, you have to follow my footsteps. That is destroying a child. The issue of footsteps doesn't work. Gali kurade kurataki kan kebir le atidere yade kurataki ma kurata jana. So jana indi kurato tanini indi kurakubar tanin kuraso kata kali kada jana kun amula jalwa azamulo. Magal khalas sanana ana successful in academics jana taera galwa azamula jasuya kila dema beji. And the example suya altanini nel. They are pushed to study psychology, study this, and when they finish, they please their parents. Here's the paper, here's the degree. But then in real life, what do you want to do? No, I want to go in music, and that's it. He wants to go in music. And that's where the passion is. If he had actually known and be allowed to do that from start, he could have saved 4 or 5 years, which the child has used in getting that paper where you're proud of, to do something for his life. So that's what I would like to shoot in, just basically to say that let us be aware na buhadu mahadel na ma zaman tanna khalas inta kanna ligo degree ma ligo degree kanta miss that degree mata fakir gal degree later will go was ajana take ده خلاص أجد مات فكرة أجد خلاص انتهى أنت سيبه كده يجينا develop himself into whatever he or herself wanted. That's what I just wanted to say.
Okay, shukran Lado. Makilina.
One thing that I wanted to say, Anna Junubin, we need to step out of the box. We colonize ourselves with titles. Kan janata filan kala so wala family day in the titles kida wala in the titles. So we all aim at that title. When I tend to compete within our community, we don't step outside the box. And you look at the end goal of just the child want to achieve this. And as you dictor, and as you muhami, but we don't look into the step. How can I build this child? Le mustawa luwa azudak. Alana azuk masalan kero dictor. We don't expose our kids to things. We don't take our kids to the libraries. Kanta mage expose jana take for library. Where is he going to develop his ideas of what he wanted to do and what he wanted to do to be in the future? We don't do that. Jana lana, jana rafi madrasa de musuliyat ustaz. Jana jafi bet, you do things kalade. But we don't know educational system tabelada. You need to be involved. And to develop that child, ma besangolo jana defi library. We need to enroll the kids for extra curricular activities. Sport, for example. Feed thousands of sports. Alana back there enroll our kids into. They go and play. They take out that stress. They come back. They are fresh. Then when we take things in, kids are like sponge. They observe things. But for us as parents, our role is to guide them. Guide them to where they wanted to be and let them choose what they want to be. We are not the only community that is in diaspora. Indian Asians, Indian Arabs, Indian people from other countries in Africa who are here in the diaspora. If you look critically, their families, their kids are succeeding. For example, community the Chinese, they screen the system in this country. What is there? What is available? How can we improve our lives? How can we improve the lives of our kids? Then they look into majalat, alfi. Alela oh, Jana Taibas Keragara political science, Jana Taikagara political science. It sounds good. No, political science take data because do you think it will go show for America? It will go show. Maybe Taraf Sudan, Ligoita in the Dahar. Godparents, Al Baghdad Sadita Keta Ligo show. We look into Hajat albasin the titles. Why don't you let your kid maybe agar haja to do with computer science? Lanu they feel marketable all the time. Wodi janata agar haja ita gayanu fi mustaqbal bagdar sadu, but you have to mentor the kid. Don't tell them here amuluda. Tell them like other colleagues here spoke about. Mentor them. Ask them, what do you want to do? How can I support you to reach there? These are all the things that we are missing as a community. For diaspora, we don't look at nas gamulo hajatina beteriga dike. We are not supposed to assimilate, but we need to bring our cultures and pick the best out of them, and then also pick the best out of the host country. From there, then we can really create a good way moving forward. But if we just assume things, it's not gonna work. How will it work? Can basically assume, and then you feel like, oh yeah, Mafi. That's not how it is, you know. Let me give a chance to my team member Dominic. Maybe you have other insights.
Thank you.
Yeah, shukran. I mean, it is interesting listening to you, but أنا خليني أرجع ورا شويتين وبعدك أنا بجي أجاوب السؤال ده. أنت عارف دائما وابدا أنا لما كنت قاعد أسمع لإيمانويل هو كان قاعد يتكلم كان في جدال هو قاعد يناقش مع عمر بتاعه إنه أنا لازم أكون كده طيب أنت داري شنو لما أكون مساعد قال لي أنا I don't know أنا ما بيعرف قال لي خلاص أنا اديني زمان عشان أنا أفكر بعدك أنا أشوف أنا داري شنو في الحياة مثلا. أنت عارف مشكلتنا البيئة اللي إحنا قمنا فوقه where we come from السيت اب ده كده أنت لازم تقرأ لأنه أنت ما بتورث أي حاجة يمكن أبوك وأمك بيخليك له ده إنك أنت تورثه ده أو اسم بتاعه بعدين هو بيديك حبة تعليم بعد كده تمشي تتبحر تلقى أنت براك شفت كيف؟ بعدين الحاجة اللي كان يعني كويس في السودان انت يا تكون دكتور يا مهندس والكلام ده رسخ في راسنا مهندس بتاع اي حاجه ودكتور. احنا زمان كنا قاعدين نمتحن شهاده سودانيه انت قاعد تمتحن بهاوس بتاعنا كده تقدر تقرا طب لانه دي الحاجه اللي بدفع. يعني انت لو ما يعني انا لما قدمت في موارد انا قدمت ده اخر انا قدمت ناشونال انتك لو كان ما شالوني ذاته بعدك كان ما هياخدوني في جامعه شفت كيف؟ لكن شالوني بعدك في ناشونال انتك. اوكي لما نحن نجي برا هنا الكلام ده قاعد يتغير. انا اخوي توماس لما احنا كنا قاعدين نتكلم مع عيال وكده فكان قاعد بسال يا اختي انا ده قال لي يا اخي تقدر تقرا شنو؟ انا عايز نقرا كده نعمل نقرا كمبيوتر. تبقى الثقافه في السودان هو الطب وهندسه. في انديا كل زول عايز يقرا كمبيوتر ساينس. انا مشيت قعدت في انديا 3 شهر انت بتسال اي زول اي تي كده. ليه؟ لانه ده حاجه اللي قاعد ادفع. مرات الدوله بيوجه الناس انك انت دي الماركت بتاعك انت بتصدر الناس من منطقه ده عندهم القدرات ده and they are very prosperous in some of these areas. So مرات هنا لازم زي ما في ناس بيتكلموا we have to talk to our children. What is it that they want to be? You know, what do they want it to be? Not that we wanted to force them, but sometimes like we read, because these are our children, we read the market and we see what is in the market. And then we tell them that, look, if you wanted to work, to get the best out of your years of your toils, this is what you can study so that you can be able to get money. But if you wanted to study for the love of what you wanted to study, that's another thing, you know. So there is a need in which we need to also, as part of the strategies, to tell our children is what is it that you wanted good for you in life now. تقدر شنو هسه وتقدر شنو في المستقبل. لأنه أصله قراية بتاعت ليش هذا ما قاعد ينتهي. يعني احنا كنا زمان احنا قاعدين نقرا قانون، مش عشان قال قانون كويس وكده، لكن بس هوس انه انا عايز اقرا قانون. انا بعد ما قريت بتاع ده كله انا قاعد افكر انه انا لو عندي قاعد ساكت ما عندي اي حاجه ثانيه معلوم، but let me go and enroll and become a lawyer for example يعني. ففي حاجات انت ممكن تعمله. So we need to, as part of our strategies, you know, to tell our children that what is it that you wanted, you know, to become in life. Their تسأل شنو what do you wanted to achieve with education بتاعك. Does your education serve humanity? Yes or no? That is something that you need to debate. Of course, when a child gets up and gets a better understanding, this is where انت بتجي تقعد مع جناك وانت تتكلم معه على اساس انه هو ينهض. الحاجه الثانيه طبعا في حقيقه البلدان البلد اللي ما حقق ده ما حقق. discrimination زي بكون في قايد، يعني انت داير ولا انت ما داير. الاولويه هم دائما بدوا للناس بتاعهم، يعني زي ما قلنا يتكلم، والكلام ده حاصل علينا هنا لانه في افضليه بتاع اللغه، يعني هم بفتشوا ثغرات. they will find ways عشان بعد ذاك ينفضوك برا حتى من الشغل ولا من الانترفيوهات بتاعت الشغل، بيدخل فوق عامل بتاع اللغه وعامل بتاع حاجات كثير حتى لو انت عارف. So the best thing that we need to do to our children is that they need to excel and do better than their best. So الليله انت لما تقرا and you become better, you know, then there is a chance in which nobody is going to deny you of your job except the circumstances that is beyond, you know, that one will happen. Then we need also to tell our children that they should not use al-kalam bitat and colors and race that as an excuse, because that one also affects us. يعني انت بتقرا حاجه انا لو مشيت قدامها ما حياخذوني ذات والله يا خويات دول ناس عنصريين اصل ما كده. No, we have to take these things out of our mind. انك انت ماشي you are going عشان ما انت عندك وانت عارف and you are going to excel and do better than your best. ده بيخلينا يعني نكون عندنا self confidence بتاعنا بتاع الشغل، وانه انت ذاتك you work with your head up in the sky and you work upright. انه الفرق ده ما في ذكاء، قد تكون في فرق في اللون you know، لكن ما قاعد تكون في فرق في الذكاء، انك انت ممكن تكون ذكي من الزول الثاني. بعد ذاك اذا في زول مثلا جاء وده كويس بتاع برا هنا، انا اوريدي اجي قال في عنصريه الباطني، ما بقول لك انك هم قاعد يتاثر عليك، لكن هم بيعملوا الكلام ده. فانت بمجرد انت لاحظت الكلام ده بعد ذاك من حقك انك انت تمشي تبلغ كويس، وده اللي بيخافوا من الحاجات ده. انت لو بلغت للزول على اساس انك انت you are discriminating me against 1 2 and 3 وفي ادله انت ممكن تقاعد الزول. فاحنا there is a sense in which احنا نستفيد من قوات بتاعنا برا هنا ومنافذ بتاع قانون. فانت لو ما بتعرف دورك كمواطن وحقك الشرعي القانون اداك له ده، انت بتتعب. اوكي انت بتتعب. عشان انا خلينا نجيب هنا وبس انا عايز اضيف حاجه بسيط كده للكلام بتاع التربيه. طبعا المجتمعات بتاعنا في جنوب السودان هو مجتمع بدائي، يعني احنا لسه في طور بتاع البنيان. عشان كده انت بتيجي تلقى انه انت داير جناك اللي يقرا حاجه على الاقل يتخرج من جامعه، لانه ده السقف اللي عندنا في جنوب السودان هنا. وكلام ده قاعد ترسخ حتى في رؤوسنا انه انت جاي تقعد هنا حتجي ترجع كويس. لما انت ترجع هناك بعدك انت هتمشي تعمل شنو؟ مثلا هنا بدون قرايه انت ممكن تشتغل، بدون اي حاجه انت ممكن تعمل حاجه، لكن لما تمشي هناك هيكون صعب، لانه السوسايتيز بتاعنا ده انت ما هتقدر تطلع الحاجات ده من راسهم. هم قاعدين يتعاملوا بمظاهر بالكلاسز بالحاجات دي. في يعني انت لو مشيت انت بتيجي تلقى زملاء بتاعك بتقعد معهم وتتكلم معهم، مرات بيسالوك حاجات كده. انا كنت قاعد اتكلم لبرادر بتاعي اسمه امشي اقرا يا زول تم قرايه بتاعك، بعد ذاك انت لو قدرت تعمل اي حاجه ده انا امشي اعمله. ليه؟ لانه بكره بعد بكره اذا انت مشيت في جنوب عشان ما تتعب ذاته من كلام بتاعت الناس. وده الحاجات اللي احنا مرات قاعدين نشوف لعيالنا، انه انت بكره بعد بكره لو انت ما لقيت شغل هنا انت ممكن تهاجر، تمشي تشتغل في بلد ثاني في افريقيا لانه ما بالضروره انك انت تقعد في كندا ولا في هولندا، ولا انت تقعد مثلا في مكان اللي انت فوقه. انت عندك اجر دي الحق بتاع انك انت تتنقل، لكن انت لو ما قريت انت هتعمل شنو؟ ما هتقدر. فانت لو قريت حتى لو انت ما استخدمت الخبرات بتاعك ده، وده انا عندي مشكله في الكلام ده، لانك انت لو قريت انت ممكن في البلدان اللي احنا فوق ده على الاقل انت ممكن تقدر تشتغل عشان تكون عندك اكسبيرينس. بمجرد انت عندك اكسبيرينس ما لقيت شغل هنا بس الشهادات بتاعك انت ممكن تهاجر في محل ثاني وتمشي تشتغل هناك وبعد كده انت بتجي. وده يمكن الحاجات المرات قاعد يخلينا هنا بارنتس هنا دايرين عيالنا يقروا على الاقل يخرج من جامعه ويكون عنده شهادات. عايز تعمل دكتوراه دي شيء في النفس بتاعك. فانا بجيب هنا.
شكرا شديد دومينيك. شكرا. Briefly, please, if you can all just comment on the question Dominic has already started on, and that was how can we empower and equip our children with the necessary strategies to help them face and tackle discrimination, racism, and the other forms of injustice they face as people of color. Dominic has touched into it, so please give us your brief insight, and then we'll go to the recommendation and your insight. Thank you. John.
Actually, when we look at it from these societies as they are, I always say to many, because I had been a trainer both in the welfare and in many training institutions, and many things I tell main advice I tell people is that in order for you to stand out in the market, be good at something. Do your best to be good at something, because the labor market requires you to be good at something. And when you are to compete in the market, everybody is putting his good cards on the table and let you be selected because you are the best. And if you also wanted to add, be 3 times better, and then you have a better chance to be competed, to be taken, because they know they will profit 3 times from you than picking a normal person who is average, a local, as it is. It is a very high bar to set, very high standard to set. But if you want to survive, you have to push yourself a bit more. That's many times I tell people, we have to try our best in order for your color to be forgotten. The substance in you has to shine out. That is the only key you can find. That always whenever you hit the door, you send your application, you send a CV, the manner in which you present yourself, how you market yourself, and you will most likely be called to interview. And when you come out in interview, then the substance will shine out. Then you have a bigger chance to win. Yeah. This always worked. It worked out for me. It worked out to many, I say. And it is exhausting, demanding, but it is the only way if you want to survive the color discrimination.
That was genius. No matter what your color, let your substance shine. Come forth. Thank you so much, Lado. Yeah. Michelina?
I just wanted to build on what Lado has said. you know, we need to really install in our kids that kind of like setup. They need to know that they can do it, especially Yaltan Al Jaffi Belede when they are very, very young. There is no difference between them, Mayal Al Siadum Beletina. Then why should they trail behind Yal Al Fifi Belede? Lano Fiyal Ketir Al Ja, very, very young Fiyal Ketir Al Ja Weledu Fi Belede. What we need to do, we need to bring them up in a way that Kedomonainu themselves equal Mabagenas. We don't take away the fact that discrimination is there. Like Ladu said, John Ladu, you know, it's not about my color. It's about what is in my brain. Let my brain do the talking. Forget about the color. Color de haja besal buhi al barahina. Lanu, if you look in, we still have the same red blood. We still have the same brain. We still have everything out the same. If my skin is to be peeled inside, it's exactly like the color of the other people in this country. Now the competition should not rely on the color. Make the competition to rely on what is inside. And this is what we need to let the kids know. Laanu mon raba febele de mon bada mean kindergarten in this country. Why are they not doing the same like the kids in this country? Discrimination is not only for Belede. Hata fi Beled landa fi Junub. We are all black, but still we have discrimination. We are all from the same region. We still have discrimination. It's part of our human nature. We don't need to pay so much attention to that, but let's pay attention to what we can contribute to the society for the betterment of the society and for the betterment of our individual needs. Alela, Anna, for example, I'm from a certain tribal group. It's still within that certain tribal group, Lisa discrimination fee. You can narrow it down like for family. Discrimination there, ma besa shan tabele de, but tabele dash and it's in a bigger umbrella. But if you look down, Lisa fee, the focus should be on telling our kids and let them know that, don't worry, they can say you look like Kida, you look like that, but focus and prove them that, okay, I'm a black person, but I can still do better than you, you know? So for me, I don't see like a way for us to keep really dwelling back for hajata discrimination. They are there, we accept them, we acknowledge them, but let's prove those discrimination acts wrong by proving what we want to do. Thank you.
Yeah, shukran, Michelina, for your insight. Thank you. Kune?
Yeah, it is it's impossible, by the way, to eliminate racism and discrimination without talking about what is happening to us, especially our teenagers. Last time I used an example in which Anarafi Mall, Yala, security guard there was following only black people around until I had to confront the guy. Laman, there are some girls taking our video because I asked the man, is it one of your job requirements to follow black people around? One of the managers, Mara de Filipino, Barakingal, ma'am, he's just doing his job, which is wrong. Because why would you assume, Gali, somebody of a certain race, Zole Harami? Ma inofino swanta ni nakal amerin that will be serego. But this is not our thing. Our thing is to teach our children, kan fi haja zeregi hasil, come, sumanna. That is when we build a parent and children relationship. Min iyalde sukerin. Taide kule managa sadumon. Arrafe meder sakan albiga kebirre kara ogiri jade anna gonusu. Like it is an everyday thing that we talk to our children, we hear what is affecting them. And then finance and jokes to racism, but you gotta say, hey, I don't like that joke. If you don't say it, people will keep pushing it on your head. I was a student here in Makiwan. I went to the university. There are 5 of us who are matured students in a class of 30 students. Tanin the diamond gid am sukushar taki gamulu amulushu hajat kira. But what did I do? And I go did that as well. I'm saying, hey, let us learn to respect one another because we are all human beings. You are not better than me, I'm not better than you, but we are in this class because we are after something. Now in the end, by the time we finish, they are my friends on Facebook because they found out that my style is respect one another, hear my story. That is how we, with teenagers now, that's what we do to them. They have to share, because if they don't share, we are their parents. We have to build that trust. Zaman sometimes so like when I said gibel fi iyal giterjim gijibu kalam galade, can parents mind quiz itama bar what is happening tabijal go nyerku waga fi jerima. And the big thing anna ligo friends ya jama friends taban iyal bes kijam friends we tried like our own parents taban friends ta iyal ta keremu. Tanna growing up is different. Friend ta number 1 day outdoor. You see, we grew up zere. Yala ita bistagarap. Allah, what is happening with our kids? It is a challenge every day because sometimes Jena Bijafibet mom obsut something has happened. People have to know that some of these racist things are so painful. But when teens come in, the children come and talk to us, and then we try to help them. And the main thing is when we have to find out if the schools, for example, they have opportunities for people of color or like promoting the culture and equity in the schools. There is a like Black History Month. Whenever it comes up, it's always, they don't share a lot about the Black history. I did, for example, that happens in Canada. Well, the USA, it's well known. But some Canadian parents, if you say, oh, Black History Month, there were slaves in Canada, in Nova Scotia, boom. The white parents say, no, this is not correct. Ma inno de haja al hagiga al hasal. Lakin because history do mon ma baarufu, mon bikele tagal the only nasa suetalja min Caribbean wale nasa algija min Africa san harib tannare. Taino? They don't know. But when they know, mon gikun surprise when you share things like that. Like I've seen nowadays that people are opening up, the more stories nasgi share, the more itagili go kawaja de unasa nena algamala mon hajat gi so about it akida de mon gi kun afraid fade gi go dumon. And when we do our best, like John Ladu Kelim de mon gi jay nita kazola from the different skin color, ita gura folk because you are doing your best, they start to respect you. Thank you.
Shukran Gune. Wow, those were great insight. We have dwelt a lot on the challenges from the first discussion last week to this one. And I think people are overwhelmed, but it's not overwhelmed of things that are not true. These are things we are experiencing every day. But I guess there are also lots of benefits from living or parenting in the diaspora. And we also have to show the benefits of that. And I guess each one of you here has experienced that. You have experienced the benefits of being here. So how could you, just final remarks, I want you to come with just a few final remarks on how would you advise the parents here to tap into these opportunities that we are experiencing here to support them in their role as parents, and what is the way moving forward, to empower them in their role as parents, and for them to be able also to empower and take on the role and the responsibilities and the duty, as Emmanuel earlier on told us. It's our duty to empower them. It's our duty to raise them out to be great citizens. It is our duty to guide them so that they don't have to burn villages to feel the warmth. But for us to open up and embrace them, to come to us, to speak to us if they're not having it well, And when they go out, they know that they can be confident that being Black is not a taboo, being Black is not something bad, but with confidence that they have the substance in them, as John Ladu said. So I'll start with you, John Ladu, and then over to you, Michelina, Dominic, and then Gune. Thank you.
You're muted, Lado. You're talking to yourself.
Thank you. So, as parents, it is not only a duty, as we said, but it is a choice. We made a choice that we wanted children. And we made a choice, we wanted our legacy to continue. And in order to fulfill that legacy, it is not an accident that things will just haphazardly fall in place. We have to make effort. If we need to be remembered the day we're laid down in our grave, that at least we have done something, we have to make an effort. And that effort is just like anybody who harvests. If you want a good harvest, you have to put a lot of hard work to it, and you have to make a lot of sacrifices. But then these sacrifices requires a lot of balance, especially in the Western societies where we're living. And there is what is called the rat race, chasing after bills, paying the bills, and at the same time, being close to your child and being the advisor, being the friend, being the supporter. That balance is a very difficult one, but at least one has to try. Try your best and build a relationship with a child. Let your child be free to speak to you. Let your child be able to allude, to give whatever his thoughts, whether positive or negative in his mind, let the child share with you. If it is a laugh, let us laugh together. If it is a cry, let us feel a cry together, and then we wipe out each other's tears. Then we will be able to stand together, and you realize that this child will always be free with you. And as part of your responsibility, it is that we have to guide them. They are young, their minds are developing, as all ours developed. Some of us are lucky, we got guides from all kinds of uncles, aunts, and whoever it is. But with us here, we are on our own. And we have to play all those roles, uncles, grandfather, whoever it is. We just have to do our best to play all those roles. Then we would be able to see that we give an impression very clearly to them that at the end of the day, the child realizes, dad and mom really are trying their best. They are exhausted, they are tired, but they're really doing their best. And that is called love. They have seen the love and the energy you're putting in that demonstrate the love you have. So let's continue loving our kids. Let's continue try to guide them, and let us try to show them how to be the best and to shine out so that they will not be able to feel unfortunate, but feel that they are fortunate to be in these societies which has opportunities. That's where I stop.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lado. Michelina.
My recommendation will be for parents, both parents and kids, to maintain open communication and be honest. Be honest to each other. Can fi mushkila ja that a kid is to help maybe interpret or talk to those kind of institutions. Don't lie. Lanu jana beni muminita kanta gibada lie from the beginning. Wo bayan galo tarakulo manna bag der kelam zuri. So that lioness will be lie later. Will be lie statakile jani balazu rafogo, and then will be bada build tato kamana will be lie later. So if we have that open communication with our kids and be honest, I think that will be good. The other thing, I wanted also as parents to stop picking things for our kids. If we want to empower them, give them that ability to pick what they want to pick, do what they want to do, but then for us to guide them. The other thing, know who your kids' friends are. Be involved. If a kid, for example, today say, oh, but I need a boyfriend. Okay, well and good. That's good. That's how people start. boyfriend de munu, family to munu, you sit down, you talk, you say, okay, go and experience, and then you will share with me. It's better for my kid to say, mommy, I'm gonna visit my boyfriend than no bikela mana gonna have story ala min hinako to the boyfriend. Then who am I going to keep accountable? Can fi haja hassle. So it's good for me to know jana taigurafi. Bet tanas boyfriend tato can fi haja na bar where to go and say this is where my kid was going to go. So let us accept zaman tanna kan bediri. Zaman tanna khalas ruafi sa talata. Debiga zaman alanna bisibu leyal tanna kedomon empower themselves and be who they want to be. And I exhaust a lot. I will give chance to someone else. Thank you.
Dominic, thank you.
Yeah, I shukran. Indeed, you see, there are a lot of low-hanging fruits, Barahina. You just have to select what you want, and I think that goes to our parents. We are role models of our children, because our children, in most cases, they copy from us. If you don't show them the example, they will copy from other people else's. And so it is easy to graft a child when he is very young, rather than just leaving somebody to just flow like that or grow like that. طبعا عندنا مسألة قال لك أنت ممكن تعدل شجرة وهو صغير. الشجرة ده كان بقى كبير very difficult for you to tend الشجرة ده ما بتقدر كله. الحاجة الثانية هنا لازم نعرف the way we operate societies بتاع البلد ده, the way the people operate, it is not free. It's not less free. No, there are controls. I came to know that through my engagement with some of talkings. Okay, when during our induction there was a police officer, and I talked with that. I was like, they punish their children. They will punish them. Even if a character, there's a character, they will use it. And then we'll I mean, there's a punishment that we do here that is not necessarily that we need to do there. Then what Yoladu said earlier, because people are society's keeper. You can't just be seeing something and then you let it to go. You will have to call the police and the police will come. So we, as human being, we now need to avoid this kind of the way we used to treat our children back then. And as I under Lasma in Makalina, Zamanu can fi kashafa that Zaman Khan, she will never talk like this. Zamakambo to goofy bit. Yeah? But now look at how the things are. There is a sense in which we have to change our mental model. The cells of our mind and minds, we have to change because we are in a new environment. And this new environment warrants that you have to also adjust because of the rights of the children. Because the law, the country here operates within the realms of the laws. And if you are not careful, you enter into a problem. You will lose your child. And Karwa Karaminang, they will bring it to. So in conclusion, I wanted to tell ourselves that they were very color. We brought them here. My uncle, the late Emmanuel Kichere, great candidate, you are priceless. The fact that you are my nephew, is God's relation is your mother and father that brought you up, but you have to choose your wife, So there is a sense in which we have to choose our things. But in this material time when our children are very young, we need to guide them towards that self-esteem. It's very important who you are, what you wanted to do, what you wanted to achieve in life. And you can do better than your best. And our role is to help them really and support and guide them. And and we'll tell them, Malish, go Mamshi. Shukran. Let me give Hina.
Yeah, shukran, Dominic. Gune, your final remarks.
Yeah, we as parents, we need to set good examples for our children since we are the role models. Mind understanding they're looking up to, and the way we interact and talk with them. It matters because kanna gi shout mama bi share manna all their worries. Lakin kanna gi listen. At least listening is the best thing you can do. Takan gas suma kalam de tamam jena de worries to you can help that child. And one of the other positive things about parenting for diaspora de is a good start in life. Mafi yanta bainu zere kan language is not a barrier. Tabili go smooth mederesa, tabili go programs. Alta bagdo kutu iyalta kifogo. Although some of the programs are expensive, but there are other activities that kids can attend. And especially teenagers, like me as a mother to 3 teenagers, we always talk. And being honest is the most important thing we do. And nowadays, we attend programs when we talk about sensitive topics like drugs, gangsters, smoking, and all these things. These are things that Omanindo Femedersa. And then when they bring the papers home, I said, yes, all of you are going to attend, but let me know if parents are also included. And yes, parents are included, and I will tell my teenagers, put my name there because I will be attending. I also want to know the names of the drugs, what is happening, and all these things. So they said, do you really want? I said, yeah. Since we are all here together, we live together, I'm your mother, you cannot exclude me from what is happening. So we always have to look out for one another, and then we have to show interest in our children's school life. Be there for them. I've done my part according to my own children. They said to me, from looking at the pictures, they said, oh, you have been there when we were growing up. Now we wonder why all the sport activities you go, but if you don't go, our children always complain, why is it that we South Sudanese, we don't attend our children's activities, because some people work over the weekends, while sports activities are going on. So it is a challenge. But again, if parents balance the whole thing, one can go to work over the weekend, one can attend programs that it will be okay for the kids. But again, I would just like to say that parents, there's one thing that when we first came here, we never had. We never knew about children's rights, Jama. As new immigrants or landed immigrants, there should have been at least something that teaches parents about children's rights and responsibilities. What can parents do? Even if you have teenagers, what can you do? Because back then there were so many challenges when I first came, until I had some of the moms whose children have been taken to jail. They will tell us now. They tell you, oh, if you have teenagers, please be there for your children. Gurushta belede mabi kalaso. Ita bistakal hokuma bitax ita tabamul zere meanwhile iyal take giraba. Lakin kanta kutu bala wara iyal. I think tabata kelle nefsa take galta bidugu nefsa zere tabikelem rabona shukran. Ugal selima iyal take de mohim. Liana yom dak anna parents anna geni manna ena regi seli manna yom ahad gi shilanna fi kenisa. Yani fi teriga parents anna mulo raba manna alanna bagder shilu ta parents anna de wanna bishilu ta new culture de na bilakh bitu anna bagder kamana inu iyal tanna. And let me give you one example before I close. When we are coming here fi Canada, orientation amulu manna fi Cairo, binia de shilu Z jibu orange juice, jibu moya. Yala lakbitu fi kobaya. Gali, you are going to a new country. It doesn't say leave your cultures and traditions. It's mainly like a mixture of whatever you see in the cup. Hagata lakbitu de kanta lakbitu lakwatu zere. Ita bukuni ndu values alta ligo fi Egypt. Butake alta jamu min Sudan. Walta gura ligo fi Canada de. This is who you are. And then teach your children hajade. Magal kalas taba hajat take masalan taba akil take tagora kola akil ta. No. Keep your culture, because your culture is who you are. And thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Pune. That was a very nice closing up for this wonderful conversation that we have had. It is, as Ladu said on the discussion last week, that it's a big elephant. We have tried to bring this elephant down. We tried to injure the legs. We brought it down last week. Today, the elephant is up again. We have tried to injure some of its parts, but we have come a long way. There's been a lot of wisdom shared, lots of experiences, lots of things we can take with us. And I hope the parents listening can also take something out of here and share it further with the others, because raising children is not an easy thing. It takes a village, as it says, to raise a child. And we all can learn, we learn from each other. Go seek help if you need help. Need help from your sister, from your brother, from the community, and all the services out there are for us to strengthen us in our role as parents, and also to help us raise the children that we have brought into this world. So I'll end up by thanking the South Sudanese in Women's Forum, Aisha, by being in the background helping us. We thank all our sponsors, our collaborators, and all you, the audience, who have been following with us. And again, as I started with the quote earlier on, that there are two things we as parents should give our children. One is roots, and the other is wings. We have given our children roots through the values that we have sent further to them. And by trying to be the good parents we are trying to give them the wings for them to be able to fly to wherever they choose to fly. So thank you so much for your insights and perspective. And I wish you all a blessed weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.